Hey yo, what's up everyone? It is Corey, the Jaginator, Marco, back with what amounts to the second half of a previous episode of the Dodcast. This is Season 7, Episode 8. We've just got to predict the new Solitude, so it will be a shorter episode. How many times have we said that? We'll watch a DoD movie or something. I do have some thoughts on things that I could do to fill time in situations like this, or I guess in the off season. Like, I was thinking about trying to do like top 10 matches in KTP so far. There's certainly a lot that come to mind for me, and then just from the casting, and then if you add in like the Bandits Thunder finals in season 5. The T3 beating us on Railroad 2 and on Rail Yard. I forget if there was another one with T3. I mean, with T3, we played like so many fucking close games, any of those. But those two in particular were the ones that I think spring to most people's mind. Certainly to my mind. It was like a 2-point loss on Railroad 2 that was at the time seen as a pretty big upset, to the broader DoD community, though I don't think any of us felt like it was that as big of an upset. To us, that team was fucking tough to play from the start. And then the Rail Yard one, obviously a last-second cap-out to win the game just barely. Fucking crazy. So that's one thing I thought of. I thought about doing, like, because, you can't really ever objectively call something a top 10 anything. But again, my top 10, I could do just DoD movies, but in my opinion, that's making it too broad. When I think of DoD movies, I think of them in many different categories. Like, you got, am I trying to watch a rifle movie? Am I trying to watch a sniper movie? Am I trying to watch a heavy movie? Am I trying to watch like a team movie? There's crazy frags, there's crazy edits, there's crazy syncing. Like Falcone, I Stand Alone is like a crazy edited movie. If I just am like watching for creativity purposes like that. Or like the Arsenic movie. It's another one. It's like all in black and white. I don't know how many people have seen that movie necessarily, but or then like I'm watching just for syncing. There is like that's something that I worry about in my movies. So a lot of syncing in my movies, stuff like that. So like I don't know, I could do DoD movie related stuff, top whatever, or potentially something like the top 10 clips that there have been in KTP. We don't want to, if we stretch it out beyond that point, it gets very, very subjective. This is still very subjective, but and in my opinion, again, you couldn't just do clips. It'd have to be like shots and streaks. Beyond that, if you try to just do clips, then it's like, well, how crazy is that one fucking insane shot versus like a guy getting 10 kills? Why is that one shot on there of some guy like doing a 360, jumping out a window, shooting himself in the dick, and then spraying the bullet back out into a guy's mouth to blow his head off? Like, why is that in there but not this streak? So that's another one that could be done. And yeah, I think anything else is kind of like, I can't do top fucking DoD maps. There's barely any maps to begin with, and I think it's pretty clear which ones I would be leaving out, just for anybody that's watched more than like 5 minutes of me doing this shit. So, by the way, also it turned out that I could get my new, more professional templates on here. Look at that. I didn't think I could, but then here we are. Ha ha ha! I did not mean to show that now, but that's another new one. I wanted that to be a surprise. Alright, so what DoD movie to watch? Because I can't just God damn it, I just hit the same goddamn thing again, really. Playlists. For anyone who doesn't know about the DoD movies playlist that I have on here, and you're looking around for movies all over the rest of the internet. Oh, god damn it. This playlist is here. Is it all up to... Okay, yeah, I did. I couldn't remember if I got Mutiny into the Mutiny spot there. Or I guess I could do a DoD movie countdown, like across many Dodcasts, but you know what? I think I just saw. We're playing Solitude. It's a new Solitude. We're gonna watch this frag of the week. No clue if you guys can hear this or not. If not, I'm sorry. This was made by Ron. I know I'm in it, that's why I'm watching it. I mean, this is such... Hey, look, Matt's in that clip. Oh. Oh. Tox is in here, too. You don't see Tox miss that many pistol bullets very often. Austin. Oh, how did that not kill that? Okay. Jeez, bro. They go for blood, blood, blood. This may seem like, oh, well, Jaunty's in there. Like it's just Anzio, but no. Oh, Jizz and Jaunty. I don't remember them playing for easy in this. Oh, Jules just got Bullgoose loonied. Oh, and so did Nazda. Floyd, he's gonna wreck me here. Yeah, I remember that. Don't worry, I get revenge later. Zick. Woo. Swift. Woo. Guy was a Europe main player. Look nuts. Because European DoD is generally more mechanically talented. Here it is, yeah. This is where I get my revenge on Floyd, yeah. Oh, this is against us. Oh man, this is when I used to get to play like 6 DoD matches a week. I was on so many different fucking teams. Ooh. Okay. Tom. This is Tom. Tomfoolery. Look at that guy. Look at him. He's a sniper. Oh my god. He's got him. He just hit that guy in the head with a bullet that didn't kill him. This game is busted. Hip. Ooh. Oh. Oh, ha, ha, ha. Strider, man. I forgot about Strider. Woo. Free Siebes. Heineken is on that team at this point, too. Damn. Dan Johnson, of course. Austin again. Oh, this is during these seasons. That's right, the 5.5 men seasons. Look at Austin standing barring. Oh. Yanni. Playing for M475. Woo. Chris. Oh, yeah, this... Yeah. 3H official ringer, that's Casino. Oh. Oh. Oh my god, he just got DOD'd like 3 different times in that life. Okay. Woo. Quick. Oh, double. Now we got Andy Sheen during this time frame. Huh? Andrew. Woo. Random. Aiming 10 feet away. Fury. Red Dog. Oh, yeah. This is another, yeah, this is me playing in another Euro match. So I was playing with one with 5.5 men and one with Epidemic, Yanni's team. I always got to play for Yanni's team too. Except when we played each other, that I didn't get to play for both. Kevin. Boom, boom, shh, boom. Here's the champs. Super friends. Shh. Oh, getting kind of shit on by Ponzimon there. I'm sure Friends won this match by 1,000,000 though. That clip is nuts. Colby playing in Maine or whatever here. I thought for sure I was going to ace in this clip. I get 5. And then rather than just like scope in, you know, like I want it to be finished off properly, so I do that. I don't get the last. I don't get the last. Alright. Now that we've gotten off Phil. Where are we here? Weekly matches. Alrighty. I hope was I actually streaming all that? I think so. I think display capture, yeah. Cool, dude. Fucking cool. Alright, what do we got here? Do 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 do. Do 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 do. So first of all, I'm not sure if this game is being played on Sunday or Monday or what anymore. I think it was like Sunday or Tuesday were the options for our game against the GSR. Well, I think it was initially I saw it was Sunday, and then I guess Ryan said like they were going to be missing somebody. I don't know if they're planning on using a ringer. This thing is just going to piss me off. Hide this shit. Or if they're going to want to play a different day. I honestly have no idea. We're going to find out. Alright, so what do we have going down this week? No-Go expired. That's a good one. ADT Wickeds. Easy versus Stunt. Car versus Best Buds. On the upper side, Clinic versus Over. G-Skill versus Volvo. TMC GSR. DoD Worldwide versus Lobsters. Okay. I don't know why I was looking at it there. I could have just done this. There we go. Alright. So, what is the match of the week here? Looking at the standings. No-Go and Expired is a big one. That's for sure. The DoD team Wickeds, I don't think there's much movement there. Same with Easy versus Stunt. What about Car and Best Buds on standings movement? Car and Best Buds is kind of another bit of a pivot point of a match. Because if Best Buds were to beat Car, they would take the tiebreaker on them. So it would really drop Car down to like here. Best Buds would go up, I think, just one. I mean, depending on how the no-go game goes, of course. Because if no-go wins, then they don't have to worry about a tiebreaker. They jump up to here. They take over from Expired. Because they would then both be 4-3, but no-go would have that tiebreaker. If Car wins, they go to 4-3. Obviously, that means no-go does not have 4 wins. If Car and... Wait, Car is playing Best Buds, right? That's what I just said? Yeah, Car is playing Best Buds, so they both can't win. But if Car wins, they go to 4-3. If Car and no-go both won, then I think Car would take a big old jump. Where are they? Well, let's see. No-go here versus Car. Lost, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so... But they lost to Expired. Okay, so if Car... If... that's actually pretty crazy. So if No-Go won and Car won, this would get very interesting standings-wise. Like, Easy and a DoD team, if that happened, are locked in at 1 and 2. That's if that happened. And then we would have 3 teams be 4 and 3, right? No-go, or Car would have the tiebreaker on no-go. No-go would have the tiebreaker on expired. Expired would have the tiebreaker on Car. So I think then we would move to point differential. Actually, I don't know how the fuck that works. I actually have no idea exactly how this tiebreaker works in the case of a 3-way tie. Because then I guess, I don't know. But it, like, you can't really put anybody ahead if they've all beaten each other, right? Because if you try to put Car ahead of expired because they had the tiebreaker on no-go, who has the tiebreaker on expired, well, Car lost to expired, so that kind of nullifies that right there, right? And if you try to put no-go ahead of expired and Car, well, Car has the tiebreaker on no-go, so I guess it would go to point differential, so it would just end up probably, because these numbers are all so fucking far apart, there's like no way any of them can catch up to each other basically here. I mean, unless, nope, never mind. It would go expired, no-go Car. Yeah. So there's like actually, even in that scenario, not that much that can go down here. Assuming that that's how it's done. I'm pretty sure that's got to be how it's done. Like, I'm assuming that's how it's done. But, yeah, I don't know. It's unclear how it works in a 3-way tie like this. It doesn't really say. It doesn't happen all that often. I think it has happened, but I don't remember how it was done. So yeah, I'm assuming what would happen. Obviously, though, if expired wins, they're 5 and 2. It doesn't matter what happens here, because even if a DoD team lost, they'd still be ahead of expired because they have the tiebreaker on them. So most likely, expired is number 3. A DoD team is number 2. Easy Company is number 1 after this week. That's not getting into the following week where, you know, it's not optional ranked. So like, any of these guys could be playing each other. You could have Easy Company versus a DoD team, Expired versus Car. I assume the admins are going to look at like where the potential movement is and not try to not have. They're going to try to have all the games be as meaningful as possible, right? Like Easy Company at that point, assuming everything goes the same, Easy Company can't be knocked out. Like, they would have to lose this week against Stunt in order for them to be able to be knocked out next week. So if that happens, then we could talk about potentially them losing the 1 seed. But as of right now, like, they would have to lose both weeks, and their next week matchup would have to be against a 6-1 a DoD team. So a DoD team also has to win this week. Beyond that, I'm sure the admins are going to look at like where movement can happen and schedule the teams against one another. You could see something like, you know, a DoD team and Expired playing each other if they were in a tied record situation to try to, like, you know, whoever wins gets the 2 seed, stuff like that. Or, you know, Car versus whoever, Best Buds, or Car versus Expired, depending on how things go. So those realistically, no-go Expired, Car versus Best Buds are the 2 really important games this week. Because they're so close to each other in the standings. A DoD team and Easy Company trying to keep their record where it's at going into the final week. Let's start off with Easy Company versus Stunt. So, as we know, Stunt, they bring the same roster out every week. It's actually crazy impressive that they've done this all season long. I don't think that they've actually used a ringer yet. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to see if I can double check it by team. Stunt. Okay, RPC has rung once. I think that was last week, right? I think that was on Railroad 2. And it was Fusa missing. Okay. Wait. Okay, so he's PFG. Oh, I see. Okay, I was like, I don't see Fusa anywhere. Alright, so yeah, there you go. Stunt basically only using a ringer once this whole season, and it was RPC who, like, at this point probably should just be on their roster. Like, I'm kind of surprised he's not. But yeah, that is Rafinha's dad, by the way. Alright, so that's their 6, and then they were playing... Wait, were they playing against... They're playing against Easy Company, okay. Versus Easy Company, we pretty much know what their 6 is as well. Laura, Matt, Kevin, Quarter, Zamp. They've got 4 excellent backups that they can use at any point in time here. We'll see if any of them need to come in this week. Coming down the home stretch here. We haven't seen, I don't think, have we seen anyone out of this list at the bottom here? I think Hey might have played 1 match. Obviously, Empy, a newer pickup. He hasn't played yet for Easy Company as far as I know. Where's Easy? Yeah, Hey 1 match. That was when Stark was missing. Everyone else 100% attendance. You'll love to see it. Okay, so Solitude. It's new Solitude. Solitude is just a weird map in general. There are always upset potential, you know. Kind of bearing the lead a little bit there. I'm not saying I think Stunt is going to upset Easy Company this week, but certainly maps like these are the ones where I feel like when you're a team that's favored, you got to be extra careful, because when shit goes wrong in a game like that, on a map like that, it can get sketchy quick. I am still very curious to see how people are planning to play this map, route distribution-wise. On the previous version, in my opinion, like when it was a single extended cap on old double, it felt like you could just send 2 that way. Or 1, honestly. I would have been pretty okay with sending 1 guy that direction and letting him just, like, fuck around and, you know, have a guy ready to fall back if that guy dies and loses control. But yeah, I don't know what's the most likely scenario for routes and classes here. Probably a 3-3 split with, like, 1 heavy. It's basically probably the same thing as the old Solitude, right? Realistically. Even though there is now a double cap on the other side of the map, like, you're just going to have people more concentrated in that area, and, you know, you can have a guy go mid-house, but if you lose one of your other 2 double cap players and need to go for it, that mid-house guy is going to have to get the fuck out of there and go cap the flag. So, yeah, I guess that part kind of seems like it works itself out for me on the fly there. Who goes where in that case? I mean, Matt used to be a double cap player, Die Life. I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the plan in this case, but he definitely did used to be. Nowadays, a lot of times, you don't want to send somebody that route, like, that has an aggressive playstyle, because they're more than likely going to die too much with a car. Obviously, I say that, but, like, CK goes that route, too. Does he still go that route in the new version of the map? Unclear, now that you can't nade over the wall anymore and stuff like that. I'm sure CK still gets his in that area when it comes to nade kills, but, although I did play against CK on this map, and he did go double cap, so it's one of those things. I don't know. It's all up to your own theories on play style and route decisions, right? But yeah, probably a heavy on each side, a car and a third on the double cap, or 2 Garans, and then a car, a heavy, and the sniper going on the other church cap. Sirio versus Quarter makes for a good sniper matchup. I feel like this map is tough to snipe. Maybe, I don't know. Now the Axis Sniper Loft feels way better. Certainly, it's not as claustrophobic. You're not just, like, guaranteed to get walled the second that you peek, even if you get back around the corner. I don't see as many in my scrims that I've played so far. I haven't seen as much going Church Tower on allies, which, to be honest, that's been, like, sort of a problem in the higher levels of DoD for a while. Because players now, like, it used to be you could sit in that Church Tower forever. Now, a good player and a good team is just going to wall you to oblivion the second that, like, you're going to be killed because you're peeking, or you're going to be killed because you're being walled and naded at the same time. It's really tough to stay alive up in that church tower anymore. Now that just like the average floor for skill level and awareness is so high. So yeah, we'll see how snipers adjust to the way things are playing out now. Obviously, you have like a very scary duo in Die Life and Stealth. Those guys are both going crazy, as is Stark. All three of them statistically look insane this season. And I think Quarter's up there too, yeah. Stark is actually below Quarter. Quarter's been sniping, so, it's a little easier to obviously get the numbers necessary up there. But Stark, I think, has been, just as impressive, especially considering he's heavying. So yeah, I mean, just a very scary team, Easy Company, and not just because of the players that they have. As we talked about in the last Dodcast, you don't need an all-star team in DoD. You need glue. The glue is just as important as the skill players, honestly. And with Easy Company, it's spicy, right? That's their main source of glue. These players have all played together for basically the entirety of KTP. Well, like, a bunch of them have on this team, not all of them, obviously. So, that is really, I think, what puts them over the top. It's not just that Matt is out here getting 80 kills a game, and Kevin is getting whatever, 30 kills a half, 40 kills a half. It's Quarter getting basically 30 kills a half. Stark's getting basically 30 kills a half. It's not just that. Like, they play together very effectively. For Stunt, because of this map being such a nice upset map, like, you can really fuck shit up for Easy Company this week if Stunt's gotten to, like, practice, get a good feel for the map, just because of how, different things are in certain areas on the map. Like, just figuring out the underpass church side a little better than the other team at this point could be enough to tip the scales, right? Everyone knows how to play double cap. You just can't nade over the top anymore. But if Stunt can get their feet under them on the underpass side, so to speak, and can really throw a wrench into Easy Company's flow in that area, like, that can really turn things in their favor. That's way easier said than done, certainly. I don't know how much Stunt gets to scrim week in and week out, like, at all. I honestly have no idea. But with, like, BLK and Vanicky and Matt in particular, like, those guys are all certified studs. You can really kind of spread them out and put a star skill player in each area. That gives them a shot. Always. Right? You just kind of need not even like a crazy sniper performance, just like a decent sniper performance out of Serio, and get a little help from the glue players in Top and Pusa, or PFG as he is now known. And because, like, you're going to get a billion kills from Matt and Kevin, right? Like, that's a guarantee. But they don't have to be, like, that doesn't have to result in a loss. You can take those kills and keep your map control a lot of the time, just so long as, like, you're only letting them get those kills 2 at a time. Don't let him go off on these crazy 4 kill streaks. You got to find a way to stop him at a certain point, because we've seen time and time again how quickly Matt and Kevin can just, like, go on a run, kill the whole team twice, and that's where Easy Company really breaks through against teams. And with Stunt having the skill players to be able to match up to the skill of Kevin and Matt and stuff, like, those guys, if they can find a way to just box in the big studs on Easy Company a little bit, the map is going to be so weird for people to get used to on the fly, things can go in their favor. But you got to take Easy Company here, right? Like, the long story short, you're taking Easy Company. You're taking them to go undefeated. You're taking them to go all the way. It's just not out of the question for Stunt to be able to find a way to pull it off. It's just, long odds, obviously. Alright, a DoD team versus the Wickeds. So, for the Wickeds, you generally are seeing Jiraiya most of the time getting to snipe. Zaps and Man have been playing a lot more lately, although it's been, I think Man missed last week and Zaps was there. I love when they both get to play, where it's like Jiraiya, Zaps, Man, Lucho, Pocho, and Bullet. Or, you can get Leto in there, or JJ was playing really well when he was in there. Ryan and AZ are both good players. Like, there's a lot of different rosters for the Wickeds that can work out. On a DoD team side, they too have a very stacked roster overall. It almost doesn't matter who plays for them. But the big story with them this season has been like their rifle core of Azilla, Anakar, Savage, Anakar, Baron on a third. But Baron has been playing like every class. Baron's having a Yagoon type season where he's going to get a start in like a 60 kill game on every class, which I love to see because not a lot of people can do that. So it's always impressive, but unclear realistically what the lineup is most likely to be. Arachnid on the sniper obviously is huge for them. If you can get the Nyx on the heavies, both had like a hole in E-Man on the heavies, and then like Azilla and Baron and Savage on the rifles. But even if you can't do that, you got Meep and Purdy and Bo and G all able to come in and play wherever you need them to. A DoD team has many good lineups that they can put out there. I liked their... Actually, no, the Railroad 2 lineup from last week was missing one person, I think. I think Arachnid was missing because Baron was sniping. So obviously, yeah, it was Arachnid. This one... First of all, the Wickeds looked really good last week. They easily could have won on Railroad 2. They've looked better and better, as you would expect with this team, right? A lot of times, I think it's just a matter of like who can show up for them and stuff. Because again, when they have Zaps and Man both playing, those are two very, very strong players there, regardless of class. Pocho has been playing outstanding on the heavies this season. We talked about it when I was casting the Wickeds versus Stunt. It seems like every game I cast for the Wickeds, which it's gotten to a point now where I basically get to cast every game, which I love. Pocho is just always a standout player there. You got the leadership of Bullet, the experience. On a map like Solitude, where you can really, shift around in the double cap, I think a guy like Bullet can be particularly helpful on how to make that work, right? Because we've seen the strat on double cap, old double cap that is, oftentimes be just prone around, ninja break, stuff like that, and that works. Think about Paul sniping double cap, just prone at the top of double cap back in... Was it Season 2 or... I think it was Season 3? I don't remember for sure. It was either Season 2 or Season 3. I want to say it was with Why So Serious, but it could have been with PMC. But yeah, he went 39 and 12 or something like that, and just did not let the other team get into double cap. Just proning around, finding different angles, not missing sniper shots. You can do that on this map, and control that way. You make it on the other team to have to hit a crazy shot or a perfect grenade, or if you miss a shot, right? Those are kind of the only two scenarios where they get around the corner from that. So it would be interesting to see the Wickeds try to get a little clever with that, right? Again, if you got Zaps and Man both playing, and then Pocho, that's three studly players, again, that you can kind of have put wherever they need to be on the map. I think that's always important, having a big three of players that can frag with whoever the best players on the other team are going to be. But yeah, again, it's a new map-ish. It's a new dynamic, a new half of a map, basically. So that always gives the underdog team a little bit more of an interesting opportunity to be able to take it if they can figure out something that maybe the other team hasn't figured out yet, or get a little more comfortable on it. You're picking a DoD team, though, right? That's just right out front. You're picking a DoD team, almost regardless of what the lineups are for either team. It's just, again, I think that the Wickeds have improved a lot throughout the course of the season. I think that they probably had their best game of the season on Railroad 2. It just fell apart a little bit in the back half of the second half. They looked great up until that point. They were controlling pace of play. They were in the lead, and then it's just, once things kind of fell apart a little bit, they completely fall off the rail. Was that against Stunt? Or was that against the DoD team? No, it's not against the DoD team, because that's what they're fucking playing now. Wait, a DOD team played against Stun. Wickeds played against Car. That's what it was, against Car. Against Car. That's what was fucking me up there. Okay. That's where I was fucking up. So yeah, that game, the Wickeds against Car, not Stunt. They look great. In a very tough matchup, obviously, where you had Max dropping like fucking 80 kills and 10 deaths or whatever. Like Insight was dropping bombs. Everybody playing really, really well, and the Wickeds almost won that game. And if people on the lower side of things did not notice that, they could catch some teams off guard going forward. Obviously, it's about to be the playoffs. I have no idea what the playoff bracket situation is. I think the admins are even still figuring that out. I go with the DOD team here, but, hey man, I think the Wickeds will be surprising anyone they play against from here to the end of KTP Season 7, and will also continue to get better. They've already improved leaps and bounds over the course of the season, and there's still more improvement to be had. They're a very fun team to watch and see that development take place over the course of the season so far. And I look forward to see how things play out for them. A DOD team, just one of the absolute favorites here on the silver side, the lower side. And, right now trying to tune themselves up a little bit, getting ready to go into the playoffs where there's going to be a bit of a grind to deal with these other top teams on that side of things. Okay. Up next, we've got Car versus the Best Buds. For Car, you have a pretty good idea of what, their main six is, right? It's Max, Insight, Mike, Piff, Shreddies, and Virus X, unless Louis can play, right, or Woowa. There are options here. Generally speaking, though, it's been like Shreddies and Illusion on the cars, Virus X on a third, Aim Tech on the sniper, Insight and Piff on the heavies. If Louis plays, he can basically play anything. Mainly a rifle, though, for sure. Woowa, same thing, mainly a rifle. And then, where are they? Best Buds. Wait. Okay, yeah. For a second, I was like, wait a second. Did I do the right match here? Was I looking at the wrong thing? Yeah, it's Car versus Best Buds. I was questioning myself. For Best Buds, you got Hopper, the War Within, the Brom Bomb, Chicago Legend, the Bird that is big, and Epion, and another batch of good backups that if these guys get in, you better believe they're going to make an impact. Guys like Johnny and Ryan, really, really good players, regardless of how much DOD they've gotten to play this season. Now, Best Buds certainly had a tough loss against No-Go last week. What was the final score of that game? 45 points, right? Basically a cap out, which is painful. Close games to lose are painful ones. And that was with a lot of weird shit going on. Like, War Within was lagging all over the place, I know, and stuff. Not their best game, and they still came very close to beating No-Go with William Sick Blackwell just getting 500 kills, right? So Best Buds should feel pretty okay about that game overall, I would say. For Car, they were missing Illusion last week. Kind of a last second. His sister was giving birth, I think, was the situation. So he'll be back in the lineup now. And that's a lot of firepower getting re-injected in there. So, Solitude. Illusion is just historically very good on Solitude, right? I think I had to play against him on it last season and whenever we played the old Solitude when I was on 3H. I imagine then again, I don't know. Who goes double cap in that case? Do you send him double cap? I feel like you can on this version of double cap at least because it's a little bit less nady. You don't have to worry as much about potentially your premier car going out there and just walking into 3 grenades. There's the nade catchers at the top and the bottom now that can keep you alive a little bit longer than you used to. Plus no nading over the fucking walls, which should be the case on every map at this point, but it won't be. There will be places you can nade over the walls no matter what happens. Harrington in particular is insane for that, but I know I've talked about this before, but to me, you should get rid of like 90% of the nades over the walls on Harrington. It's basically the reason why the meta is the way the meta is. To be honest, you get rid of the nade off the spawn ramp for allies. However you so choose to do it, move back the spawn ramp, switch the doors, I don't give a shit, but you should not be able to sit in your spawn and chuck your nade off a wall, up a ramp into the cap zone without even risking your life at that point. Like, that's insane. Can the Axis do that? No. Like, maybe just keep the nades over mountain. Let the heavies have a little more impact, or just keep a nade from long and, like, open up a nade for the allies to throw from their side long or something. I don't know. Or just do one of each. The allies can nade over mountain. The Axis can nade over long. Something like that. I don't know. But to me, like, the million fucking nades that you can throw there is just insane. But anyways, for car, you know, whichever car for car ends up going double cap is going to be a strong one. Bromley, and the way that he's been playing with the heavy, he's been very dynamic, like very willing to ninja around and prone around and stuff. You cannot predict what Adam is going to be doing. That bodes well for a map like this, because this is a map where you generally see the proning and hiding and stuff happen a lot more often. And with Bromley, now you have no idea if he might do that or not. You got to be ready for it, but if he just doesn't do it, you know, like maybe you're clearing out all the corners for nothing and they're already behind you, right? It makes for an interesting dynamic in that area. I mean, that's assuming that he goes that route. War Within versus AimTech is a fucking crazy sniper battle. I have no idea how that plays out. Both guys who are explosive, dominant snipers who can go like 40 and 10 any half of any map, hit crazy no-scopes, go on long kill streaks, pick up other weapons and kill you with those too. That will be a very, very fun battle. And then, you know, the heavy battle, Hopper and the Brom Bomb versus Piff and Insight. Obviously, they're not going to all be going the same route, but you'll have 1v1 on each route there with each heavy. Chicago Legend with a tough task up against Illusion and Shreddies, of course, and Big Bird with Schick. And then the third rifle battle with Epion and I imagine Virus X, but could be Wua, could be Lou, could be Handy. There's a lot of options here. I'm inclined to go with Carr here. I think it'll be a close one. I think Best Buds is like a very relentless, strong team here that like will never stop playing to try to win no matter what. Like, they are a comeback team in my opinion, which I think is important come playoff time, because weird shit happens in playoffs. You can't just, as soon as you're like, oh, we gave up a cap out first, we didn't expect that, I guess we lose. Come playoff time, it's even more important to be a team like Best Buds who will not stop grinding away at you. I suspect Best Buds will make this thing fucking hard for Carr and trying for Carr, but I think Carr will... They just are such a fucking strong team now, man. Carr is stacked. Don't let last week's game fool you. I think that they belong in the same conversation with a DoD team, Easy Company, and Expired. At this point, I would say, like, the big four on that side, Carr is that fourth team. Just with the way that this lineup has developed over the course of the season. We'll see what happens come playoff time, obviously, but in my opinion, those are the big four. Certainly, at least on paper. I think you could have the debate between Carr and No-Go as well, now that especially William is playing, to give them another little bit of a boost. I think you could make a case that if No-Go has William playing, they don't lose to Carr. But right now, Carr has that one-up on them. To be fair, Carr also didn't have Insight or AimTech at that point either. So, you know, it's kind of a tough debate to have, to be honest. But yeah, I'm going with Carr by like 31. I think they get a late cap out to make it 31. I think Best Buds has it looking like a dub for them for a minute. I don't know why. Just something I feel. Okay, and on to the last game of the week here. Match of the week. No-Go versus Expired for No-Go. Revolving pieces here. T certainly will be on a sniper. William on a car. Twist could play anything most likely heavying. We've seen Dedro heavy as well, but we've also seen him third. We've seen when Greg plays, probably heavying with Twist. Kush, Manga, both rifles. Matthew, when he plays, can play anything. Koi, rifle. Tony could play anything. I have no clue what the lineup is likely to be for No-Go this week, to be honest. I guess we could look at last week. So it was Manga on a rifle, Dedro on a third, Kush on a heavy, Spoon on a heavy, William obviously on a rifle, and T on the sniper. So I'm just assuming that that's going to be what the lineup is this week, but honestly, you could see any of those players come out and be replaced by Twist in an instant, at very least, right? Like, you could see Matthew also end up playing. You could see Koi end up playing. Maybe you could even see Tony end up playing. Is there a point where No-Go brings in TC as well? I don't know how much DOD he's been playing, but, you know, a guy who is a bona fide gold player, you know, you can put him on whatever class and he will be a gold player. So very, very scary potential for No-Go there as well if that ever was to happen. And then Expired, who in my opinion is like the over of the lower side, right? Just so much frag power, but frustrating at times to watch. I think they very easily could have won that game against Easy Company on Railroad 2. And we could be having a totally different conversation about the standings. It's hard, I know, in the moment. Like, it's easy to watch from the outside in the HLTV, just casting my little balls off, and say, like, well, they just killed the whole team. Why aren't any of them going for mid? But again, it's kind of like not anymore with Over, but what it used to be, especially with Over in, like, Season 1 and 2, where, like, they would just frag the piss out of you, and then you would be expecting, like, shit, we gotta go to one of the flags because they're gonna cap mid, and then they just wouldn't cap mid. And a lot of times it wouldn't even be 1 out of 2. Like, it would just be like everybody was telling everyone else to go cap mid, which is the thing that's happening with TMC this season, too, to be fair. This is not just like a one-team thing that happens. But Expired, like, this close to dethroning Easy last week, just like a little bit more communication on a mid-cap, and Expired win that game, and there's no undefeated teams in lower this season. Like, that, it was really that close. Multiple opportunities for them to take map control and potentially even cap out in those instances, and just, like, a lot of hesitation and, like, kind of looking around, who's going to cap mid, is it you, is it me, is it him? And then by the time they finally got 2 people on mid, it was like 10 seconds later, and the respawn wave is already out, and it gets broken. But pound for pound, overall, I would say they played better in that game overall. Like, if not for those lapses in the mid-cap area, they win that game. That was the reason I was thinking about, like, top 10 DoD matches is because of how insane that game was. Top 10 KTP matches. Like, that was just the match that kind of, like, clicked it off for me. Like, that would probably be on the list. That was a crazy game. A frustrating game to watch when things like that are happening, but crazy nonetheless. Obviously, SQ been an MVP candidate this season. He's generally rifling. He did car bar on Railroad 2 and dropped 80 kills. Fincher, another guy who's been a candidate for best heavy in the league. And then Pizza Hut, generally been on a rifle. Raven has kind of played a little bit of everything, but usually rifling now. Budagas has generally been sniping, and then, like, on the other heavies, you've seen Nitrox playing occasionally, you've seen Evans, you've seen Hadriel, all of them have played outstanding, and Bestia as well. They've all played well whenever they're in there. Expired, firepower-wise, is just insane. Like, every one of their players is very good at the game. Nitrox having to play as a heavy. Like, yeah, he's a heavy, but there are cars and Garans and snipers all over the ground. And if he gets one of those, like, good luck. It's one of those things, man. They just have so much firepower. A lot of times, it doesn't even matter what else is going on because their players are just annihilating you. So, yeah. Solitude? I mean, I'm sure Expired watched that cast and are now aware, if they weren't already right after the match, that they had a little bit of a double cap problem. So I imagine that's something that will be consciously addressed this week on a map with 2 double caps, especially. Because when you think about it, right, on a map with 1 double cap, a centralized double cap, like, sometimes it can be unclear. Whose responsibility is it to cap on Railroad 2 mid? Well, first of all, the 4-way ticket guy, number 1. After that, it's kind of up in the air, right? Is it on Axis an underpass player, an apartments player? Probably shouldn't be the sniper really any of the time on Axis, but a lot of times it ends up being the sniper having to jump out of loft. Um, on allies, like, it makes a little more sense to have the sniper do it, I think. But you could also just have a bar, shift out from lower if you've got, which you should have balcony control. Or a Garand, like the long Garand coming up white steps or coming out of apartments, since he's going to be there a lot. On Solitude, there's 2 routes, 3 players per route. Like, there's a limited number of people that are likely to be able to cap that double cap. So I assume it will not be, like, a notable problem this week at all. For any team on any fucking match, right? Like, it's not something that's going to happen in this map, I don't think. For no-go, William, obviously, the really key player there, he's going to get 1,000,000 kills. You just got to be able to make those kills. As the other 5 players, you need to make those kills count. Like, you can't have William get 4 kills in a row and then die, and then, like, you don't get any map control out of killing 2/3 of the team, right? Which, no-go is not a problem with that. When William's getting those kills, they're generally making the most out of it. This is an interesting one, to be honest, on a map like Solitude, because it's just the new church double cap makes things very interesting. You could see some a little bit off meta tactics get deployed in areas that I'm curious to see, because, like, people are creative in this game, man. Like, people come up with ways to try to make sure that they win on certain maps, and I think these are 2 teams that could do that 100%. T against Budagas is another very fun sniper matchup on a map where the snipers are generally having to deal with each other a lot. That's a 50-50 sniper battle. We saw Budagas go, like 42-20 last week on Axis. Just an insane. Him and AimTech both had 40 kills and about 20 deaths, like 2-1 KD with 40 plus on Axis Railroad 2, which I love, because Axis Railroad 2 is one of maybe my favorite half of any map to snipe on. When things are going well, if you're just getting shit on, that half is absolute fucking misery. But if things are going moderately well, at least, I love Axis Side Railroad 2, so both those guys' halves were fucking boner city for me. It's a lot of firepower, going up against a lot of firepower. I don't know, last season, No-Go started a run at the end of the season that they carried on into the playoffs. Expired should feel confident. They should not feel bad about barely losing to the undefeated Easy Company. There was obviously a little bit of a problem that they just need to address. This happens. They're a new team. Like, overall, they are a new team here, and the growing pains are going to be there even for a really fucking good team. Again, look at TMC. We are having plenty of growing pains ourselves, so nothing to get to hang their heads about, really. Just something that you can now be conscious of going forward. I think that they are still one of the 4 best teams, no matter what happens this week, to be honest. Like, even if No-Go were to come out and smoke them, like, I wouldn't say, like, well, no, Expired, I guess, was not as good as I thought. No, I would not say that. Like, I would still call Expired one of the 4 best teams on lower. But yeah, this one I think is a little bit 50-50. I favor Expired, because I think they are going to come out fucking roaring trying to get a win after what, I'm sure they too feel like should have been a win last week. But No-Go this is a game that I think is going to be well within a cap out in whichever direction it goes. I don't see the likelihood of either team just running away with it. Barring, like, very weird lineups on one of the 2 sides, you could certainly see things get, like, crazy. But I think this is a very 50-50 game. I say Expire by, like, fucking 12 points. SQ against Sick is worth the price of admission by itself. Those two guys are both playing out of their goddamn minds this season. Sick only in a few matches, but it's sick. Like, that's what he's going to keep doing regardless of anything. He's going to get his. All right. On to the upper side of things here. What do we got? DoD Worldwide, Lobsters, TMC, GSR, G-Skill, Volvo, Clinic versus Over. Oh, Clinic versus Over is a rematch of one of the only 2 overtime games there has ever been in KTP. It's a rematch of that exact map and that exact matchup. So that's got to be the match of the week, right? In my opinion, like, you get that rematch, it's got to be the match of the week. Alright, so TMC and GSR right off the bat. I believe this week we have Ryan playing. Ryan, Devin, Sean, Mitch, Jules, and me. I think Jesse is missing in action. I think he's on vacation or something. I think. I'm pretty sure that's the situation. And then for GSR, you got Jordan and Jared, you got Colby, you got Brandon, you got Craig, and you got Cam. Again, a lot of firepower on that team here. This is a map that I'm sure I speak for all of TMC when I say we don't feel super confident on it. It's going to be interesting to see how the matchups all shake out route-wise and everything, because, again, we were like still trying to figure out who's even supposed to go where on this map the last time we scrimmed it. And then the map got changed again, so then it was kind of like, all right, I guess it's just the way it used to be. But, GSR, I don't think they've gotten as much credit as they deserve for the way that they've played the season, just because they've had a couple of tougher losses, but I think they are still a dangerous team. We've seen what, like, Jared can fucking, this guy's had a couple of halves where he just dominates, like going 40-12, heavying on, with either gun. Craig, we've all seen it time and time again. Cam getting to snipe all season has looked great. Brandon, especially on his allied sides this season, has looked excellent. Colby continues to get better and better every week. He came right in and was immediately making a difference just with his game sense and, like, grenades and stuff, but as the mechanical skill also continues every time he plays the game to get better and better, like, this team can get very scary heading into the playoffs. And yeah, good luck, have fun. Hopefully it is, like, a good match. Hopefully, we don't just, like, choke and give up a ninja cap and lose in the last minute or whatever it was. I have PTSD now on Axis Side Railroad 2 forever. Thanks, Chi! I just said it was my favorite half, too. Unbelievable. Okay, what was the next one? G-Skill and Volvo. So, for G-Skill, every week I say the same thing where it's like Taylor, Milo, Andrew, Chuck, Colin, and Alex, but it almost doesn't matter if they're missing anyone, because then they have Scott and Chris and Justin and Frank able to come in and play any class at any time on any map at any route. Generally, that 6 is their 6, but, like, Justin has been back for a couple weeks now, shaking off the rust. Like, you can just fucking throw Justin in at any fucking class. He's been the best player in gold for the last 2 seasons or 3 seasons. It's a nice problem to have, right? And then for Volvo, not as many players, but certainly not a guarantee who's necessarily going to start. Paul has generally been playing in rifling, and Drew has generally been playing in heavying. Scotty usually going to rifle. Manor usually going to heavy. Toki generally going to snipe. Darren going to snipe or going to rifle. King Yo going to third. Yanni can play anything. You never know kind of which 6 out of that, 8 players is necessarily going to be there, but you got a pretty clear idea of if they're there, what they're going to play at least, right? Obviously, they have players who can play multiple classes if need be. But Solitude, right? Interesting map here. Volvo is exactly the kind of team that you expect to be able to upset on a map like this. We've already seen it out of them, like how good a team they beat Over, right? Like, they beat Over, who now is the #1 team in Upper. Their only loss is to Volvo, because Volvo is a team. They are a team. You've got, like, the lads typical Saab, whatever core you want to call it, and then you add in, Paul, who is a guy who always is a team player and understands how to win, is doing whatever it takes to win. The added wrinkle of Crawd as well, like that unchecked aggression out of him can be so hard for basically anyone to deal with a lot of the time. Anyone. When he gets going, it is like a snowball rolling downhill. Like, there's just no stopping it. Before long, it becomes an avalanche, and he's got 40 kills with an STG. Route-wise, a little unsure. Certainly, as somebody who's had to play against, like, a pretty good chunk of G-Skill on Solitude, we play because, well, actually, no, I don't think Milo was on that team yet. On T3. So I guess it was really just Taylor, but he played incredibly well. Played with Frank last season on Solitude. He was outstanding, but he probably isn't playing. Obviously, Colin, always good on Solitude. Andrew, will Andrew be going double cap or long? I'm imagining he goes double cap, because I'm sure Colin will want to go long. But I guess you never know. You never know what the situation will be there. Alex is going to be a monster wherever he goes. And then Chuck will be an absolute fucking nuisance in the sniper lofts or wherever he so chooses to go. He's been on fire this season, just looking like he hasn't lost a step after not having played KTP at least since Season 1. It's going to be hands full for Volvo no matter what, right? Like, you take G-Skill here, you can't pick against G-Skill generally ever. But, like, with the map being a weird one, it's an upset map on every level. I can see Volvo being able to be an absolute handful for G-Skill here. And, like, you could see something happen here, like the Saints overmatch. Like, Volvo made it look shockingly easy versus Over. Like, it ended up being a relatively close game overall, I think. Not even that close. It was actually one of the wider spreads of that week. I think it was like the biggest blowout of the week on Saints. Yeah, it was. So, like, it's doable. It's very, very fucking doable. It's one of those things, right, where, like, sometimes in a game, you can just tell how things are going to go after the first, like, 3 to 5 minutes, right? Like, if G-Skill comes out flying and just, like, gets the first 4 kills or whatever and gets both double caps, like, it's going to be tough to break out of that because they're just all such fucking insane players. Like, you have to hit crazy shots, like, 5 times in a row at that point. But if Volvo can make it a little bit of a stalemate right from the start, make this more of a game of tug of war, make it a dirty kind of brawl, that's where you could see them win. It's very, very doable, but most likely G-Skill win this game. I really value the team play of Volvo. Like, they have a very good grasp on how to play the game together. And on a map like this, that will be very, very important because obviously, like, it can become chaos. And one missed rotation, one missed fucking nade, one missed call. These little things can be the difference between, like, winning by 10 points and losing by 30 points because of, like, a ninja cap or a guy pushing out of double doors into your hole and, like, somebody missed a call or whatever. Like, these are things that won't happen to Volvo as much as it might happen to whatever other teams. They are a team that have that shit down pat to an art. But yeah, G-Skill obviously you got to take to win the game overall. Alright, DoD Worldwide and Lobsters. This is a fun one. Very fun one here. So, first question for DoD Worldwide, is Bud playing finally? Because the last 2 weeks I've been like, oh man, I can't wait to see DoD Worldwide with Bud playing, but he hasn't played yet. Hopefully the pickup of Bud wasn't just like a cosmetic one. Hopefully, like, it's just that Bud hasn't been able to play for the last couple of weeks, and he will be there for the remainder of the season, because I think that makes DoD Worldwide very strong. Adding Bud to the mix, it's just such a good player wherever you want to put him. Obviously he's mainly a heavy, but you could certainly put him on a third, on a rifle, whatever. I'm assuming Bud, right? So, Tony, Rafinha, Soya, Riv, Corey, Bud. Rafinha and Corey probably on the rifles. Kellen and Tony on the heavies. Probably Kellen going the underpass side, Tony going the double cap side. Bud, let's say on a third. Or, Tony on a third, Bud on a heavy, whatever you so choose there. Soya on the sniper, of course. And then for the lobsters, Ian on the sniper. CK, this is his favorite map besides Lennon, realistically, I'm sure. Going double cap, probably. Matt on a heavy. Justin on the other rifle, probably going underpass. Cody on the heavy as well. And then I think Defrag has missed the last couple matches, but if he's there, he'll probably play. Ben, I don't think can play unless it's a little bit later on Sundays, so probably not him. John, Kev, haven't really seen that. Nick is generally the guy who's playing if someone's missing, so that's who I would assume is in that other spot. But I think Cody is back this week, and I'm guessing that Paul will just be playing in the 6th spot there. CK, I think, is a big X factor in this game. He loves double cap on Solitude, and he will make it unfun for you. He will just grind away at your ass nonstop for 40 minutes. Good luck. DoD Worldwide just need to be prepared for how frustrating that will be. The thing is, he will die like upwards of 50 to 60 times, right? You just got to take advantage of those deaths. That's the time you have, as much as 10 to 15 seconds for him to, respawn, get all the way out of spawn, back to the double cap. You make the most of those times. Don't be in an area where he's definitely going to throw a 4-second prime nade at you, right? Get pushed out or fall back even more, right? Just think about the fact of what is CK going to do. He's going to prime a nade. He's going to run at you. He's going to chuck it in your face. He's going to try to take as many of you with him as he can, even if that means taking himself out in the process. Ian, very strong at this map. Soy is going to be very strong at this map too. Who's going double cap for DoD Worldwide? Is it Rafinha or is it Corey Price? I have no idea. I think both of them can go long underpass and generally have on previous teams, but now they're both on the same team. I could certainly see either of them going double cap too. They're both guys who thrive with multiple targets they have to deal with. They thrive in the chaos. I guess it kind of depends how you want to stack things up play style wise. I think Corey is more aggressive than Rafinha. I don't think Rafinha necessarily is passive by any means, but Corey is very aggressive. So maybe you want to put him on the double cap side, just because odds are he's going to die a little bit more just because of his aggressive play style. But that's all, again, DoD theory. Where do you think that you want the aggression? Do you want it there, or do you want a guy pushing up church and trying to get in behind, trying to get pushed up to the 1, playing in the McDonald's arch, playing at the jump window, at the old second flag, stuff like that? Heavy battle, Tony and Riv against Matt and Cody. It's a fun heavy battle, and I think a good mixture of play styles all around there. I assume Kellen going mid-house, and I assume... Actually, I don't know. I'm guessing Cody going mid-house, but that's just based on the fact that with 3H, Matt went double cap, and when I played against Icy Hot, Matt went double cap as well. So to me, I've seen him play double cap a lot of times. So I'm guessing it'll be Cody versus Kellen in mid-house, Matt versus Tony on the double cap. This is an interesting one. I'm inclined to go with the Lobsters because of Justin and CK. They both are good at this map. Just plain and simple. I had to play against Justin last season on this map, and I played, pretty well, I felt in that game, and he was still shitting down my throat every time I encountered him. I was watching him stream on it the other day. He was just hitting crazy, crazy shots left and right, just basically running straight forward through the map and killing 3 or 4 guys at a time. It's going to be a hands-full scenario for the guys on those 2 routes, which are the only 2 routes in the game, obviously. But, this is a coin flip one all around, to be honest. DoD Worldwide has looked excellent throughout the season. I think that they have not even reached their ceiling yet at all. Not even close. When that time comes, I think they are very capable of beating everybody, to be honest with you, especially if you take map into account. Nobody should want to play against DoD Worldwide. on this map in particular with, like, especially CK. You know, Justin on any map, but a map like this, or Lennon or Harrington with CK, a map that he's excited about when no one else is. That's never a good sign for anybody. I think it ends up being like, you know, maximum like 50 to 60 points here in either direction. But I lean towards the Lobsters just as the X factor of CK being a guy who likes to go double cap and thrives at it. Because there ain't many people who do that, period. It's just not a fun route to go, generally speaking. And usually, even if you are doing well, it's not particularly fun, but CK enjoys it. He will get, I mean, I checked from last season, he had something like 33 nade kills in our match on Solitude last season. He had like 58 kills and 33 of them were nades. It's a lot. So, again, coin flip, I'm leaning towards the Lobsters here. I really want to see Bud get in there for DoD Worldwide this week. I want to see like their God Squad out there and see what they can do. Not that Solitude is necessarily indicative of how good their lineup is at that point, but realistically, you know, with their best six, I think they're very capable of beating anybody in the upper side. It's just been 2 weeks since Bud was picked up. Still hasn't gotten in there yet, so I'm very, very excited to see that lineup get to play. And then the last one of the week, the match of the week, a rematch from one of the 2 overtime matches in KTP history. It's Clinic and Over on Solitude. Man, just the fact that this is the matchup that we get on this map is pretty fucking interesting. Obviously, different looks for both teams here. You know, for Over, Kumkum, Saka, Caffrey, SC, Chi, and then who's the 6th? Is it Mata? Is it Jizz? Is it Nightmare? Is it Patton? Certainly, if it's Patton or Nightmare right off the bat, like, that gets pretty scary. Because then you're having to deal with a Nick Patton or a Nightmare on the sniper rifle. Good luck. For Clinic, no Carpenter, you know, who's obviously part of the glue for Clinic on that sniper rifle, but you get Tom on the sniper instead, who has been great. Or, I mean, we even saw them swap to have Debo on the sniper for a bit. That's also something that they could do. Honestly, I think any of these guys could fucking snipe if you asked them to be honest. Their aim is all good enough, and their game sense is all good enough. Allen, we've seen snipe for them too and played great. I don't think the sniper part is that relevant. It's just when Carpenter is there, like, he just brings a certain flair to the sniper class that we know I personally love. And then, you know, you got Sam on a third, most likely, and then Scott and Insam on the rifles, Vic and Debo on the heavies. Again, assuming everybody's there, you could see Smaltz in on a heavy. You could see Allen in on anything. Chris W. could realistically probably play anything as well. I mean, man, I'm tempted to say, like, this is another overtime game. The thing is, right, Tom was not... He was rifling last time that they played on this map, and he played out of his goddamn mind. Vic and Debo were heavy. They both played out of their goddamn mind. And then Tom on double cap, on Axis side in particular, was like an absolute fucking hero on the rifle. So, like, the new looks for both teams here make it... It's not quite a one-to-one analog of last season. Over did have Nightmare playing in that game. Clinic had Taylor playing, at least in the overtime. I don't remember if he played in the initial regulation of the match, but pretty sure he ended up being the MVP of the overtime. You know, Over are the best team in upper right now. How long have I been saying how good Over is? If it took the sacrifice of me losing on Railroad 2 to finally prove my point after 7 seasons of talking up my boys and how good they are, I'm okay with that. I can live with that. I gotta favor Over just because of how well they're playing. I think they have figured it out as a team as well. Like, beyond just the fact that there's 6 insane players playing together. Just in the game against us, you could see the way their damage control was working, all the protocols they have on rotations. You know, they have a good feel for one another. I think Chi brought in the perfect kind of playstyle to level things out a little bit on the extreme aggression. SC and Caffrey together are just ridiculous, week in and week out. So Kum Kum and Sokka obviously continuing to rifle together all these seasons. And then when you got Nick or Nightmare on the sniper rifle, massive, just massive. That team can beat anyone on any map. I promise you that. Like this is not bullshit. That team can beat anyone on any map. Last season was mostly unlucky for them, and you can definitely take that into account on Solitude ending up in overtime. How fucking close that game was. Literally tied. If they could do it once, though, Clinic can do it again. You can't say Over definitely wins this game. You just can't. Clinic is still Clinic. They are still the longest reigning team there is, period. They have been playing together the entirety of KTP. They are the most team there is, and this is a map where, in all that chaos, the most important thing you can fall back on is the team play. You're probably going to have Vic and Debo back on the heavies. Those two guys played out of their minds on this map and were a big part of why Clinic did end up winning that game. So, you know, the rest of it, like Clinic, you know what you're going to get out of everybody. This team is rock solid. They can win this game. And certainly, like, if you see, like, Over missing a couple guys, then I immediately got to tilt it in favor of Clinic. But Over just beat TMC and G-Skill back-to-back, the teams that everybody was saying were sandbagging and upper and all this stuff. So, what does that make Over, then? I don't know. It makes them upper or something. It makes them gold, right? They are gold. TMC and G-Skill and Clinic and everybody else are upper. And then, you know, there's like, is there then like a silver for Easy Company and then lower? Like, do you look at it that way since Easy Company's undefeated? I mean, to be fair, Over's not undefeated. They lost to Volvo on Saints by like almost 100 points. So, as expected, anybody, honestly, on most maps, you could see any of these teams lose to each other. You really can. That the Saints game between Volvo and Over kind of says it all. You know, you wouldn't look at the standings and go, oh yeah, this team, they definitely probably lost to this team or any of these teams here, right? But they did. Just the way it goes, man. Like, some seasons in gold are crazy. It's a lot like when Thunder lost to Clinic on Anzio. You know, like, I think that was actually the only win Clinic got all season in that season as well. Maybe they had like 2 other ones potentially. I forget. But like, it's a season where if you don't watch out, you end up in a best of 3. And if you're thinking like, well, we're favored, like we don't even have to worry about the veto. And then all of a sudden you're playing on the other team's like best fucking 3 maps, and then all of a sudden you're losing. You know, it's like 3H and Over in the first round last season. We were so close to just getting bounced in the first round by Over. We ended up on maps very favorable for them and almost lost 2-0. We ended up winning 2-0 barely. You know, you cannot take any of these teams lightly, ever, because they are all capable of beating any of these teams as well. But in this Clinic Over matchup, I lean Over by like 10 points. But because obviously I'm leaning that close, I think with just a little bit of overperformance by anybody on Clinic, it can start to turn it back, or underperformance by anybody on Over, or if Over's missing a couple starters, you know, all these little things that can kind of like shift the pieces in one direction or the other. I think it's a super fucking close game no matter how you cut it, though. Hopefully, I should get to cast that game because it'll be an afternoon game. So yeah. And I don't even think we play on Sunday now. Oh, me and she have the same KTP rating now. I got a 1-3 KD. Yo, I'm basically sniping, dog. I got the second best KD. Suck it, Jules. Jules is below 2 now. Where's Nightmare? Yeah, that's what I thought. That Nightmare was like 2.12. I actually had to figure this out myself. Because when we were trying to figure out how close Jules and Nightmare were, the stats weren't done yet. And I was spot on. Debo right there at 128 now. What's his KTP? 128 as well. Okay. Sean, Alex, Milo, Devin, Jesse, me and Chi, Justin, Chuck, Kum Taylor, SC Vic, Crod. Word up. All right. I hadn't looked at the stats yet, but I was curious since I had a good game how it reflected in my stats. What am I doing? 20, 27 and 21 and a half, basically. So I'm basically doing what I did last season. Generally, that's what you get out of Yagoon. 27 and 21. I'm going to get about 60 kills. I'm going to die about 40 times. Give or take, right? Alright, that does it. Oh no. Hopefully that didn't fuck up the audio when all is said and done. That does it for the Dodcast. After this week, we got the ranked matchups on Lennon. I imagine War Within is making the frag of the weeks. If you don't submit to him, I will shit under your pillow, and it will not be solid. Don't forget, if you get clips, submit them. And yeah, good luck, have fun to everybody this week. This is the schedule. Oh, that sucks. Okay, so the over clinic match is not scheduled yet. No-go expired is at 3:30. Clinic over, I think, usually play at like 4. So I might be able to try to do both if this game gets started quickly enough. But it's unfortunate that the match of the weeks, like, I was hoping that this was going to be at 3 and this was going to be at 4. So I could do both the match of the weeks for sure. Car Best Buds at 8:30 is, again, kind of helpful. Because that means I should be able to do at least a portion of that game, if not all of it, and then jump over to a 9 o'clock game. We'll see if anybody's playing at 10. We'll see if we're playing on Sunday as well, because if we're playing Sunday, then the 9 o'clock games won't matter, because I'll be playing in a match. And yeah, there you go. So we'll see how the rest of the schedule plays out, but you know I'll be casting all over the place. We are good to go just this week, and one more week left to go in KTP Season 7. I'll see you guys in 2 days. Time to go travel back to my good computer and BIOS internet.